Hey everyone. Hello, folks.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, folks.
Hello everyone.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. I think we are at that time of the year where most of the important work happens, frankly speaking, where most of the interesting discussions happen because there's no pressure of everything else, right? Like, usually I see most of the technical discussions going into the great flow, no pressure, no tension, kind of thing. Yeah. There were certain folks at Cube Day who asked what time is nephew security discussions happening and all that. So I don't know whether they will be joining. I'm hoping they will be joining. If not, at least we'll make sure that we explicitly send them an invite and get them on board. Okay. Let me just open up the wiki page at this point. Okay. So I'm keeping the meeting notes in this fashion. Uh, Now, the interesting thing is that the task list automatically gets created here. Uh, so this is good way, but most of the other teams are basically making use of um, uh, the GitHub projects. Now we can possibly make use of the same because that's much easier to keep track of, in my opinion. But because no one else can edit here, is what my understanding is. Is that correct? And a lot of folks do not have LF ID, or LF login, so it's very difficult to tag some of those folks. So I wanted to tag few folks here, and I couldn't. So I just wonder whether I mean, I feel personally that we should move directly to the GitHub projects, but since last time we didn't had any other option to keep this information, I made use of this. Right. So
GitHub will be better, yeah, Rahul, because LF, I've already forgotten my LF ID. So,
okay. I don't think we would.
LF has a SSO, right? You can use GitHub to sign in to LF.
okay, then,
I
Yeah.
personally use GitHub to sign in to LF.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, nice.
The same. I also do the same thing. Uh, okay, so I'm going to keep the meeting notes separately. Uh, so what I'll do is first maybe go through the list of action item. OSSF scorecard badge, Wade, is there any update from your side?
Yeah, I have raised the PR and my PR has been approved, and I was asked to rebase my branch, so I have done that and tagged the required person, but there is
Okay.
nothing any update.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So, they might be struggling with their own R2 release deadlines, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so no point
yeah.
in pushing right now. Yeah. The same is true for the security policy as well. It's the pull request is reviewed, looks, by a couple of folks and all good to merge, but I think it'll merge at its own pace. Uh, Anything else that we want to talk about before we move to the specific agenda item? I think there is one agenda item that Shiv is going to talk about, service mesh. So that is one. Do we have anything else that we need to talk about before we move on to other action items?
One
So
item was there for the flow monitor. if we are good with Flow Monitor, so we can push a PR, another PR for the Flow Monitor action too.
But I thought that PR was also in place, isn't it? No.
I guess no.
Oh, so maybe most likely, did I look at the issue and not issue is there in place, huh? Not the pull request. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, issue was in place, but not the pull request.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So I mistook it for, I assumed that PR was there in place. So I think let's wait for the OpenSSF things to be merged, because that way automatically few of the things that would be required for Flow Monitor would be handled as well, right?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe one of the things that came up time and again in the past discussion is that what are the few of the working groups that we can concentrate on. Hey Wim, Wim is here as well. Hey Wim.
Hey guys,
Hey.
how's it going?
Yeah, going good. This is our third meeting or fourth meeting, and now we're in a spot where we're discussing what kind of working groups we can form. I don't think we'll be able to form any of these working groups before January, but we wanted to at least start a discussion and see what kind of interest we can get aligned.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are some of the things under consideration. And again, feel free to just point in or add in specific action item. The point is anything that gets ownership will get driven. We will create multiple working groups. And one of the things that came up was about service mesh. Time and again it came up. The other thing was secrets management. Time and again it came up. I don't know what is the model in which secrets management is handled. Hey, sorry, Guru, I had to meet you. So,
Yeah, so secret
ma-
management from
Yeah.
my view, so it's also one of my high runners
Okay,
personally.
got it.
The reason is the following, right? So what we
Hmm.
do right now is that when we provision clusters,
Hmm.
right? So we use cluster API, the
Mhm.
secrets gets applied on the management cluster, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And we are using that to get access towards the workload clusters. And
Okay.
I'm not sure whether this is the right approach and stuff like that, because it's whether it's really secure and stuff like that. Because anyone who has access to the credentials actually can access those things. We do provide a secret per cluster, right? Also, a Git token is per cluster, so that's
Okay.
good, I think.
Mhm.
But the whole, what would be the right way forward to handle that? I think because this thing is being used quite a bit. So, for example, I'm working on a number of scenarios that are going to build upon this, right? So that's why it's a bit urgent in my view. For example, one of the things that I did or I was busy or I actually have done, right, is, for example, one of the capabilities that it's mainly for lab purposes, right, for our sandbox.
Mhm.
But so today, when we build a network, let's say we have 3 or 4 clusters, right? And so we built the network. So we kind of built the network ahead of time, and then we can provision clusters, right? But it's not a good approach, because now we come in this mode. We have run, we have all run. So we want to deploy clusters dynamically, delete them, recreate them. So in other words, the network should follow whatever is created, right?
Mhm.
And okay, so we try to mimic like a physical topology. So that means that we actually wire them up. So, but one of the things that I did to accomplish that is that, so I have a piece of software that runs in each of these clusters that actually does wiring, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, how do I get access to the workload cluster? Is via that secret again that I was talking
Okay.
about. So that's why I'm saying is that there is more and more things. So today, installing config sync on a workload cluster
Mhm.
happens also through that secret. So we use the secret. So we need to have a mechanism. So once we provision a workload cluster, we need to have a mechanism on the secrets to be used, and how we access that, and who is authorized for it, and stuff like that. So
Right.
so there's a whole, let's say, plethora of, let's say, capabilities that sit in this bucket, as far as I can see. That's why, And the reason, because we build upon it, right? If this strategy is not right, then we probably need to change sooner than later, and then all the subsequent work will then benefit from the new approach rather than the current approach, if you see what I mean.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Wim. That certainly helps to prioritize things for sure. Uh, and I think one thing that came to my mind is Anurag is trying to set up the setups clusters, and so maybe you can keep in mind about how secrets are currently handled, uh, and check whether is there anything specific that comes to your mind right out of the box. So I think we'll need to do some deeper analysis as to where the secrets are currently kept and how they are managed, and basically take it up from there. Would that be okay, Anurag? So this is something that you can keep a track on, right? Like you're setting up the GCP environment and the yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Any other thing? So, Wim, one basic question: has there been any discussion in the context of secrets management before that we can look at, like tentatively, if or I can go through some notes or something like that?
No, I mean, see, I brought this up already when we were I built a piece of software that relies upon it. Then I was asking, what should we use? And then we said, okay, everybody uses a different approach. So that was the answer.
Okay.
So we said, okay, don't bother, basically was the answer.
Got it.
Don't bother for now.
For now. Okay.
And
Yeah,
then I said, yeah, but we kept bringing it up, right?
yeah, that
Because
basically sums up security activities. Don't bother now, right?
yes.
But yeah,
And
so
then we never did anything so far. And that's why I think, for me, it's more important, because if you build upon it, right, and if it's not right, then it's the faster you change it,
yeah.
it will, all the subsequent work will benefit from it. But so that is not really a history other than what I just told you.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate that information. Really helpful at the right time. Thank you. Yeah. So we have one clear action item that we should basically prioritize. Apart from that, we had strong interest on service mesh, is what I heard before. Byung, Tom, and few other folks. I'm not sure if it was Tom or someone else. Pushed for, checked whether we are doing something in the context of microservice authentication authorization. Wim, is there any authentication or authorization or authentication in place right now from from any perspective?
So no, that's another thing that is a good point. It's like adding mutual TLS to everything.
Okay. Just okay. So cool. I just wanted to confirm. Thank you. So maybe at this point it would be a good time to actually switch into the service mesh discussions. Shiv, do you want to? You said that there was something that you want to present.
Yeah, sure. So basically, I was trying to see from in general the service mesh aspect right into the charter. And let me just quickly, I have a couple of slides, and I'll just show you what I have in mind, and then the team can basically respond or share what you think about it. I'll just quickly share the screen.
Sure.
Yeah, are you able to see this?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so and quickly about why service mesh. So we all know that 5G network functions are accessed as web services. And anyway, as part of the charter of this particular SIG security, we have transport and API security. And we also have observability as which is needed also for zero trust security, because we need to stream events, whatever are there out of the Kubernetes cluster, and then also do some analysis over those particular traces. So for this, we anyway need a service mesh. So, and some of the service mesh options are anyway there, right? I mean, we have what Istio, console, Linkerd, and so on. So, and the additional requirements for Nephew are basically we need to ensure that given a particular service mesh, we'll have to show that the control plane functions are still working. There's nothing in the HTTP protocol headers which they assume and so on, which is modified by the service mesh as such. Then we also have we should ensure that all the Nephew components are working. We should also ensure that the policy engines like QBarmer is there, and then probably whatever other policy engines which might get added as part of the SIG security activity itself. And then the intent security operators. In a charter, we also have an intent security operator, right? So basically ensuring that whatever all these components are there, they still function in service mesh. So that will be one of the work items as such. Then also deployment into edge and management cluster, because in FA we have this management clusters and regional clusters and edge clusters and so on. How do we ensure that the service mesh is deployed in these multiple configurations? And also service mesh itself might have to be configured using the KPT or POCH approach, right? So maybe there is some particular aspect of it, like when we are pushing the service mesh across these various clusters. So maybe there is some configuration which needs to be handled using the Nephew native approach, right? So these would be some of the work items for service mesh for Nephew. So
Shiv, thank you for preparing this and presenting it. One of the point that is mentioned about observability, right? So observability in general is maybe there are multiple. I remember that there was discussion in some other working group or some other SIG about observability in general. So I think you might have to take into consideration that what's happening there. And I think the aim there was to have a groundwork prepared based on Prometheus and things like that. But I'm not sure where we have gone with that as of now.
Sure.
I just heard about it in few of the other meetings that I joined.
Sure.
And the other,
I'll check it. Yeah.
Thank you. The other thing that immediately comes to my mind is how do we do identity management? Like that would be a bigger concern. So that would be a prerequisite before we can actually think of service mesh, right? Like, what is the model for identity for us? Like, given multiple edge clusters that we'll have and management clusters, how would workloads identify each other? So I think we'll need some analysis there, and it would be good to understand what ONAP did in the context.
Okay.
Right, and then take it up from there. Just a thought. I don't know whether it's already there in your slide too, but just a thought.
No, I have not taken that into account.
Okay.
Also, I think, do you consider service mesh within a workload cluster or across workload clusters?
No, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so is it let's say across workload cluster or not? Is what I'm trying to.
So the way I as envisaged is, at least I had thought about it was the identity should be respected across all the edge clusters or all the clusters, not just a given a cluster, because otherwise the identity doesn't make sense. You already have local Kubernetes based identities in the form of service accounts and all those things that you can use. But if you want identities to be valid and usable across clusters, that's when it becomes actually more powerful, right? You can now target a workload in another cluster and say that it's make and call, and we can assume that it can be authorized and authenticated before that call can be made. That gives the power, in my opinion. But again,
I agree. So that's one thing. And then the question is, do we deploy a mesh across cluster or not, right?
Okay, so basically services spanning across multiple clusters.
I'm not saying that we have to, but I'm asking whether we would consider that. Because consider the SBA, right, of 5G, right? in essence, you could say that I deploy a cluster, three clusters centrally on which the SBA runs, right? So that means that you're protected against cluster failure. So how do you do that or not, right? I'm just saying what would be is that in scope or not in scope, or that's basically why I'm bringing it up.
Agreed. I think basically, so right now I've not yet taken into account any of the requirements as such, Wim. So I think once we start working on the individual items, then we'll take into account all these things. So I think it's a very good point. I'll just add it over there, and then once we so I have a plan. Basically, once we run over the plan, so this is basically at a very high level, at an initial level. And once we have some clarity on the requirements, then we'll start working towards the actual implementation.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Sure.
I brought it up as a requirement, whether it's a requirement or not.
Yeah. No, we should. I think one thing is, once we have a high level understanding of what we're going to do, we should certainly be discussing it with
in
at
a
least
much wider this one, right? I think
at a wider forum. At least have a 15-minute slot in maybe SIG automation or SIG release. I'm not sure where we should be discussing this, but before going into the next level, we should basically gather some of the requirements that you already mentioned, and maybe there could be a few others.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So the plan, what I'm thinking is basically first to gather a set of mesh requirements, right? So basically, whether should it be dual stack, should it handle, let's say, non-HTTP traffic, should it be multi-tenant, and these are all probably might be small things, but then I think we'll have to identify it upfront and then say, does it have any relevance or importance for the 5G use case as such? So, probably sometime later we can just come up with a set of requirements, and then evaluate the service mesh offerings which are already there, and then choose an evaluation candidate. So to do a POC, so basically we'll have to identify one particular candidate based upon what are our requirements, and then also the use cases to be tested would be based on the ORAN threat model. So whatever is the threat modeling which is available for ORAN use cases, so we can use that. And the idea is to basically do a POC with the kind setup initially, because that's what is there right away, and then do it for a GCP setup. So right now we are actually trying out the GCP setup. Anurag is actually trying it out. So in some sense, and the kind setup is anyway the easiest one, so that we have already got it working. So we can try out the service mesh on these setups. I mean, this is a very, this is a very rough thing what I have in mind. And then I think once we identify the requirements, which would be the first step, I think we can have a more, meaningful discussion, and then, get a lot of other people involved. Yeah. So that's all. Yeah, that's all I have.
Sure. I think this discussion will evolve over a period of time. Thank you for at least beginning the discussions. Maybe identifying the use cases might be the appropriate right step. Identifying whether it could be across clusters and some of those points, right? I think we should certainly consider those points, because that would completely change the scope of what we might possibly do in this particular work item. Right. Okay, thank you. Sure, let me see if there is any other discussion that we might want to have. Yeah, I think these are the 2 points that came up time and again. I'm sharing my screen as well as you are sharing your screen.
Yeah, I'll just stop it.
I've never seen Zoom with multiple screens shared at the same time. Here we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so the other thing that was raised a couple of times before is, do we want to do a formal threat modeling exercise? I think we have enough action items that we can specifically start, like secrets management is a given that has to be executed. Service mesh has to be executed, but it would always be better to do a threat modeling exercise before we can get into other action items. But again, I leave that up to the working group if we can have a specific action item towards that. Any other point that anyone wants to bring up? Mm, so I think from the elephant perspective, right? The two primary requirements that we had, or we thought we'll take it up for the R2 release, were basically making sure that we get OpenSSF related uh, handling merged and the security policy merged, so that we are on track already. It's up to the, so Wim, so there are two pull requests that are already on FA project where we can merge. We're good to merge. uh, we have got some reviews on that as well. So those were the things that we decided that we'll take it up for till December 15th, and the PRs are there. Those are approved already. So we just wait? Is December 15th still the date for R2 release or formal announcement? Do we know?
Oh, it will be delayed a little bit so we can merge them, right? So can you send me the PR numbers? I'll try
I
to get
will
them.
send it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I'll send the PR numbers anyways to you separately. But almost, Liam has merged, has reviewed it already. This is the one, and this is the other one.
Yeah. Okay. I'll review and then I'll try to get them in embedded. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's all that I have. Anything else that anyone else wants to bring up? I guess we're good then. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good week ahead. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.